Well, I don't know how many of you missed the fact that I wasn't here yesterday. I think in almost 4 years now, I've only missed maybe a handful of Leading Leaders podcasts. But yesterday was for a very specific reason, and that was that I spent the entire day battling with food poisoning. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever had that or not, but it doesn't take much. Just one little bit of food poisoning in your body and you have a day like I had yesterday, most of the time running back and forth to the facilities and feeling miserable with no energy and tired and frustrated and irritated and sick to my stomach. And I don't say that because it's a pleasant thing to share with you, but because it is a perfect illustration of leadership gone wrong. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I want you to understand that what happens in the human body when you introduce a substance that perhaps the body is allergic to, or you eat something that wasn't properly cooked or wasn't handled properly or had something that it wasn't supposed to have in it, the human body has this vehement and violent reaction to get rid of it. And sometimes that's gastrointestinal, sometimes that's something entirely different. But when that something doesn't belong there, the body responds to it until it's gone. Now, there are some things like when people have a liver transplant or a kidney transplant or they get a bone marrow transplant, there are procedures that are taken to make sure that this introduction of the new something into the body is well received, that the body accepts it, that the body begins to blend with it. The body realizes this is a healthy something that we have to learn to cope with in a different way. That's entirely different than an infection or an illness or a bacteria or a virus that the body says, we have to attack that and get rid of it. See, as leaders, I believe there's a season in our life and relationships where people speak into our lives, and sometimes it's simply the words they say that we either receive them or we don't. And if we do receive them, then everything in our life, well, it begins to react the same way the body does to a virus or an illness. It shuts down, it rejects, a lack of productivity begins to set in. The reactions and the rejections and the violent behavior, they all may seem internal, and we may think, what is wrong with us? I've never felt like this before, but when this person is around, when those words or ideas are around, when those phrases are repeated, it doesn't sit well with me. That should be alarm bells going off in your body. In the same way that diseases and illness and sickness tell us that our physical body is being impacted by something that doesn't belong there. When your emotional well-being, when your soul is telling you, I just don't sit well with these people, then you need to ask yourself this question. Have you introduced something into your environment that doesn't belong? Or have you put yourself into an environment where you don't belong? Because either one of those things will cause that violent reaction. It will cause that struggle and that stress and strife in your emotions, in your body. Now, sometimes it's not just the words and ideas, but it's a new person introduced into your team or into your organization, and they don't have the same DNA. And so either there's going to be a melding over time that you're going to have to learn to work with each other because this is maybe the new CEO or this is a new team player that your team can't live without. But there's a little friction, there's a little rubbing the wrong way, and you're going to have to get used to it. Maybe that person has just come into the team and it seemed like the right thing at the beginning, but over time you realize there's not any fusing together. There is no melding together. We're not going to get used to each other. This is tearing the team apart. The wheels are coming off. We're losing productivity. Nobody has any peace at work. Everybody's stressed out at work. And that's usually a sign that even if it was well-intentioned, this new person into the team culture is more like a virus or a food poisoning or something of that nature. It's causing disruption. is causing, causing a violent reaction. You're going to have to fix that. And sometimes it's going to go through a process that looks very familiar to what I went through yesterday, dealing with my body telling me this doesn't belong here and you're going to have to get rid of it. And I want you to understand, as a leader, that's your responsibility, to recognize what's in the team culturally, people, conversations, phrases, maybe just a word or two that's causing this same kind of reaction to tell you that doesn't belong here. And as a leader, you're responsible to identify it and get rid of it. Otherwise, you'll find yourself exhausted and without any productivity, without any constructive results, and just losing time. I want you to look at your teams and ask yourself, have I introduced my team into something that they don't belong in, or have I introduced into my team something that doesn't belong there? Also ask yourself, have I allowed thoughts, ideas, and words in my own mind that don't belong there? Am I getting the same kind of results in my own personal life? And if that's the case, then take another evaluation and ask yourself, what's there that doesn't belong there? I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Leadership team. If attitude is going to have a deep impact on your business and bottom line, make it a positive attitude with a positive impact. Visit jlorennorris.com/attitude hack